Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist, and today addressing a question that was asked regarding lever action rifles. Are they good for home defense? Do they make sense? Do they have any advantages, disadvantages and such? Yes, of course they have, and yes, it is a viable option, especially if you're limited in terms of legal restrictions depending on where you live. Yes, absolutely. Let's get right to this. It's going to be 6 points basically. Number one is what I'm already mentioning, the legal restrictions in many places. Sometimes you're not allowed to own semi-automatic centerfire, detachable mag rifles like that one, so you are somewhat limited to the options you have, and within those limitations, this is actually a very decent firearm. It's been used, and it was back in the day, it was the assault rifle of its era, the lever action rifle. It had good ammunition capacity, it has good stopping power, so these are all pros that it has. Not the first choice, and to be completely honest, something like this is a Winchester Model 94, and this is of the old school ones made in New Haven, Connecticut. So yes, it's a very nice rifle, definitely very well made, steel, forged steel. And man, these don't come cheap. These are quite expensive, and if you live in the United States, AR-15, your basic AR will be a lot cheaper than getting yourself this. But again, sometimes you have those legal restrictions. Sometimes it's what you have. Maybe you have a lever action rifle in your house from a parent, grandparent, whatever it is. If that's what you have, then that's where you're going to be using if you don't have the possibility of buying something like that, either economically or legal restrictions which may apply to you. Number two, it's about stopping power as well. This in this case, this is 357 Magnum. You have lever action rifles in 444, 45-70. You have a 30-30, the classic deer rifle. That is a nice punch that it packs, and even though you don't have the semi-automatic capability, the stopping power per round does come into place. Now, you kind of have to level that with capacity, in my opinion, but a 357 Magnum out of that barrel, it's going to be giving you about 150, 200 feet per second more. That is a very decent round, even in 357. Typically, 357, 44 Magnum, those would be the more general purpose type of choice, for someone that wants like a plinking, fun gun, stopping power, somewhat home defense, somewhat hunting. Yes, and 357 will also shoot your 38 specials. Some guys have a little bit of a problem with that depending on the specific gun. Usually, if it shoots 357, your lever action rifle will shoot 38 as well, somewhat give or take depending on the specific ammo that you're running on it. Number three is this thing that I'm talking about in terms of capacity. This one, even though it's the Trapper model with the shorter barrel, it has 9+1 rounds in terms of capacity. 9 in the magazine, 1 in the chamber. That is quite decent, You do have to work the action for each round fired, as you probably already know. Lever action rifle, you chamber a round, you pull the trigger, single action, drops the hammer, fires, and you work it again, and you fire again. There's cowboy action shooters that are super fast with this thing, and they fire it almost like a semi-automatic. That's unlikely to be your case, but if you're having this for home defense, it's not all that hard to work the action, but you definitely want to practice quite a bit with it. Get yourself some snap caps, work the action a lot, soften it, get used to the mechanism, and get used to working it like you would use a pump action rifle. After each shot, you just work it immediately. You just don't work the action before you fire. You work the action after each shot you fire, and get used to making those long strokes so as to not short stroke your lever action, which is probably the most common failure that people experience. Number four, it is a precise gun. You have long range capability with this thing compared to a handgun. 50 yards, 100 yards even, if you're a good shot, yes, it's going to be faster and it's going to be easier to shoot more accurately at longer distances. So if you live in a farm, homestead, more isolated residence, this may be something you want to have. Number five, reliability. There's different takes on this. There's people that will say, oh, my lever action sucks. A lot of that will depend on the quality of the gun you bought. A lot of that will depend on and I don't want to make this super long, but sometimes people buy these, and these are not cheap, as I mentioned before, and sometimes they buy beaten to crap lever actions, and of course they're not as reliable. Mine is 100% reliable. I've never had a problem that wasn't user a malfunction that wasn't caused by myself, by the user. Short stroking would be the more common one, but with practice, you do your job, the gun does its job as well. There's guns like this that are over 100 years old and they're still working. So the mechanism, yes, it's quite reliable. Maybe not the more solid, most super reliable. It's not a Glock, right? But it is very reliable on its own right, and it's quality construction. This is the kind of thing, one of the things I like. It's going to be there for generations, and if you do take care of it, it's going to be working 100 years from now just the same. And trying to wrap this up, the number 6, ammo compatibility. Yeah, the term of keeping logistics simple, you're using the same ammunition maybe in your revolver as in your lever action gun. So one of the reasons why a lot of people like the idea of 357 44 Magnum is just this. You're going to be using your same ammunition in your revolver. The compatibility of ammunition is one of the things cowboys liked about these guns the most. They would use 45, 44, 40 in their revolver and in their carbine. Only buy one type of ammunition, only carry one type of ammunition. That is one of the beauties about this gun. And usually I suggest, for people that are not so much into firearms and they still want to have a gun, usually a revolver is what I recommend. If you have a 357, this is a great addition to have. Folks, if you are interested in the use of firearms for self-defense, remember that without knowledge, training, you're going to be missing, and that is just as important or even more so than the kind of gun that you have. And for that, I recommend Street Survival Skills, where a lot of it is dedicated just to that, the use of firearms for self-defense, and a pack of other useful informations regarding modern survival and preparedness. Folks, it's going to be all for now. Take care. See you on the next video. Have an awesome day.